Hello, morning everyone. Thank you for inviting me to present the data for Jamaica. I'll do my best to represent the Ministry of Health today. So all of the slides are from the Ministry of Health, and I have no relevant disclosures. Next slide, please. Okay, so I divided the presentation, I think, based on the topics for today. So the first part will just be a general overview for the response, then we'll talk about TB, and then we'll talk about what we plan to do for PrEP implementation for the country. So this represents some data for both the spectrum estimates as well as our case-based surveillance and our two major indicators, which are to reduce by half the number of new HIV infections by 2019 and the number of HIV-related deaths by 25%. As you can see from our spectrum estimates, we estimate approximately 1,800 new infections in 2017, as well as a projected 1,400 deaths. Unfortunately, we're missing the targets by quite a margin for both the number of new infections as well as deaths. So this is our treatment cascade for 2017, and here is our major gap. So for those who are diagnosed, we really only have 41% of them on antiretroviral therapy, and then only 52% who are on ART are actually virally suppressed. This actually equates into somewhere around 18 to 20% of people who are estimated to be diagnosed are actually virally suppressed. So to look closely at the retention and care from data from 2016, we see that only 67% of people who are linked to care are actually retained in care. So that's having more than 2 visits in a 12-month period. And that represents 43% of those who are estimated to be diagnosed. This is some older data, but I thought it was really important to show the difference between those who are entering care and not initiating ART, so those with higher viral loads, and for those initiating treatment. And we see that a 1-year retention rate is actually higher for those who are commencing treatment compared to those who with higher CD4 counts who are not commencing. But if you look at the rates of drop-off, so this represents the retention rate per month since the first visit for those who are not commencing ART, so higher CD4 counts, compared to those who are starting ART, and their months of since ART initiation. You can see that there's a really high drop-off rate for both groups of patients in the first couple of months of either treatment here or just care and support for the higher viral loads. So for the TB response, we're classified by the WHO as a low burden country for TB, and we have an estimated incidence of 4.4 per 100,000, which equates into around 120 new cases in 2017. There's a really strong male preponderance, and the largest number of cases are within the 25 to 34 age group, although we did have a significant number of cases between the 0 to 4 age group as well, which is quite concerning. So this looks at the rate of change over time for confirmed cases. One great thing is that if you had previously treated cases, we really didn't see an increase in reinfection for those people. But you can see that we really have a pretty steady new infection or incidence of around 100 per year. So the treatment outcomes were also tracked. So the green is successfully treated. The red, which we don't have any of, is failed treatment. The orange is for died, and the yellow is for loss to follow-up. Unfortunately, because as you can see over time, our surveillance is really lacking because the gray represents not evaluated. So we really have not really been tracking what has been happening with our treated cases, consistently decreasing since 2007. So the HIV prevalence in TB cases, so we test people, the guideline is to test all patients for HIV in the for TB, as well as all TB patients for HIV. And you can see that again, around 20% of all TB patients are HIV infected. So this looks a little bit closer over time for the number of confirmed TB cases. So as I mentioned, it's 119 or more in 2017. The percent of confirmed TB cases that were tested for HIV is 81%. So that's pretty good. The number of TB HIV co-infected cases was 17, and the percentage of confirmed TB cases that were tested for HIV found to be HIV positive was 18% in 2017. So for the Jamaica PrEP pilot, so we are planning to roll out this pilot in 2019. We're just waiting for some ethical approvals at the moment. So we're really taking an implementation science approach, and we're using the consolidated framework for implementation research to guide this. We're including 3 populations for this pilot, and that is the MSM population. Those MSM populations are accessing care through a non-governmental organization clinical center. So they are already being seen and treated for STIs and other health management in an NGO organization system. We're also looking at preconception for serodiscordant couples. So people who are serodiscordant or serodifferent and want to become pregnant, and you want to protect the negative partner from getting HIV while having a low-cost assisted reproduction system. So we allow them to have unprotected sex, basically, while they're on PrEP. And that is being done at the university, which has a HIV clinic as well as a fertility unit. So we'll be collaborating for them. And then STI clinic attendees. So we believe for the heterosexual population in our healthcare system that this is a great place for us to get people onto PrEP. However, we are not certain around some aspects of the healthcare quality that's being provided at those clinics. So in terms of implementation outcomes, as you see, we're only measuring effectiveness, as in we're only providing PrEP drugs to the MSM or serodiscordant couples. For the STI clinic attendees for right now, we're only doing an evaluative process. And so we're looking at these implementation outcomes. So our primary outcomes are implementation, and the secondary outcomes are around effectiveness, client satisfaction, as well as safety. So safety, we're looking mostly at risk compensation behaviors as our outcome for service. And our strategies really, so this is really just a slide that shows what parts of the CFA framework that we'll be implementing for the PrEP trial. So readiness and barriers and facilitators at the clinic level, as well as consumer feedback. We'll also be doing a lot of modeling for the STI clinic attendees to check and see what the potential for infections averted is for that population. We'll be using adherence rates as well as longevity in PrEP. We'll be taking that from the heterosexual couples that we're studying in the serodiscordant trial to implement into the model for the STI clinic attendees. And that's it. Thank you.